Today, we're going to tackle a huge question in the world of digital business. What if the goal wasn't just to keep buying more software, but to actually build a competitive advantage that gets stronger and stronger over time? We're going to break down how you move from just putting out fires with quick fixes to building permanent strategic assets.
Okay, so let's start with the paradox that so many businesses are facing right now. You've invested in tons of tools, right? For HR, sales, operations, the whole shebang. You are more digital than you've ever been. But be honest, does it really feel like you're pulling ahead of the competition in a way that they can't just copy tomorrow? For most people, the answer is probably no.
And here's the thing that gets missed almost every time. The tech itself, it's usually not the problem. The real issue is the philosophy behind it. We tend to design our digital systems as quick fixes. Solve an immediate problem, but completely fail to create value that builds on itself, that compounds year after year. They're just temporary patches, not permanent assets.
So, let's put on our detective hats for a second. Let's really dig into the common design flaws that cause these massive digital investments to just fall flat when it comes to long-term strategy.
This is trap number one, and it's the most common. We pick a tool because it's super fast to get up and running, and the price tag looks good up front. And in the moment, that feels like a win. But here's the catch. Systems that are easy to adopt are usually just as easy for your competitors to adopt, or, for that matter, just as easy for you to replace. And if you can swap a system out that easily, any advantage it gives you is temporary at best. It has almost no real strategic value.
So what happens when every single department goes out and finds its own quick fix? Well, you get data silos. It's a mess. Sales has one story about a customer, the support team has a totally different one, and finance has a third. This fragmentation makes it literally impossible to get one single reliable source of truth, and that completely torpedoes any kind of real strategic analysis.
And that fragmentation leads to an even bigger, deeper problem. You just can't trust the data. I mean, if your system lets people edit or even delete data without leaving a clear, unchangeable trail, how can you possibly rely on it for critical stuff, like for governance, or for a financial audit, or for a multi-million-dollar decision? You can't. The data is just a suggestion. It's not the hard evidence your business needs to survive and thrive.
Now this right here is a huge organizational risk that so many companies just ignore. If the how-to for running your core systems only exists in the head of one key employee, or it's locked away in some vendor's secret sauce, your business is incredibly vulnerable. What happens if that person leaves? The system itself should be the source of truth for how it works. That's what makes a business truly resilient.
So if we boil it all down, these aren't really technology failures, are they? They're failures of design. We get so caught up in what's urgent that we ignore what's important. And we end up with systems that are untrustworthy, disconnected, and ultimately disposable.
All right, so to fix this, we need to completely change how we think. We have to move away from just buying tools off the shelf and start designing systems that build a protective, long-term advantage, what we're going to call a digital moat.
This is the one question that changes the entire game. Instead of asking, what tool can I buy to fix this problem right now, we need to start asking, how is this system going to become a core, irreplaceable asset for us over the next decade? It completely reframes the goal from just completing a task to building an actual, lasting advantage.
And that brings us to the main event, the digital moat, or how Louis so. Think about a castle, right? The moat is what protects it. Well, it's the exact same idea here, but for your business. It's not about one specific piece of tech. It's a whole set of characteristics you design into your systems, like data that gets more valuable over time or processes that are baked right in, that make it harder and harder for a competitor to copy what you're doing.
This chart really lays it all out. The traditional way is to look for tools that are easy to deploy and give you that quick fix. The AK Lab approach is totally different. It focuses on building systems that are hard to replace, and they're hard to replace because they accumulate so much value over time. One is a disposable tool, the other is a strategic asset that just keeps growing.
So you're probably asking, okay, that sounds great, but how do you actually build one? Well, the blueprint is based on 4 distinct but totally interconnected layers that all work together to create this powerful advantage.
So here they are, the 4 layers. It all starts with the process moat, where you embed your core business operations right into the system itself. Then, you build the data moat on top of that, where every piece of data is designed to get more valuable with time. That's all protected by the trust moat, which makes your data unchangeable and traceable. And finally, you connect it all with the ecosystem moat, where all the different parts reinforce each other, making the whole system way more valuable than just its individual parts.
Let's start with the foundation, the process mode. This is all about embedding your unique, standard ways of working directly into the software. We're not just talking about automating a few tasks here and there. We're talking about creating the operational backbone of your entire business, making you less dependent on any single person from day one.
Next up, you build your data moat, and you have to start at the very beginning, the point of entry. This means you treat every single input, even a simple form, as a strategic gateway. The goal is to make sure that any data coming into your system is clean, structured, and full of context from the second it arrives. No more garbage in, garbage out.
Then, the moat has to extend outward, to every interaction you have with the outside world. By turning things like anonymous clicks on a link into structured data points that you actually own, every engagement becomes traceable. You can see exactly what's working and who's driving results, turning all that external noise into incredibly valuable internal intelligence.
And finally, you have to lock it all down. This is how you build the trust moat. You do this by treating your internal workflows and documents like true digital assets with clear ownership. And you create an unchangeable, immutable record. Think of it like a digital notary for your most critical data. This is what gives you that rock-solid foundation for audits, governance, and those really big, high-stakes decisions.
So when you put this all together, what does it do? It forces you to shift your focus. You stop thinking about just the next quarter, and you start thinking about the long-term strategic impact of every digital decision you make. You're building for the next decade, not just for today.
And the payoff here is absolutely massive. First, you dramatically reduce the risk of key people leaving because the process knowledge is in the system, not just in their heads. Second, you make better decisions because you're using data you can actually truly trust. And the big one, you build a competitive advantage that grows on its own and becomes incredibly difficult for anyone else to replicate.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The whole point isn't to just deliver another piece of software. The real goal is to design a system that, by its very nature, creates a sustainable, long-term advantage for your business.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Take a hard look at your own company's digital setup. Is it just a collection of temporary tools that you're essentially renting? Or are you actually building a permanent asset that's going to pay you back for years and years to come? The answer to that question might just define your future.